So you know how recently Apple was in the news about throttling phones with older batteries and slowing down their performance? Well, it looks like Apple is back in the news. That's right. Apple is actually apologizing for what they did, but they're not just apologizing for what they did. They're actually taking this a step further. They're actually going to be giving discounts for battery replacements to old iPhones. So if you have an iPhone 6 or later, you're actually going to be getting a big discount on a replaceable battery for your phone. If you have an older iPhone, unfortunately later than the iPhone 6, so if you have like the 5S, the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, you won't be getting any discounts on any batteries because apparently Apple wasn't throttling those phones. I say apparently because you really don't know what Apple or other big companies are actually doing to the consumers if they're actually lying, because I don't know if Apple would have actually told us if they were throttling phones if they weren't actually being exposed by somebody. If they weren't being exposed, this could have went under the radar and maybe Apple would have never told us. So that's why I say apparently. We don't even know if the older phones from Apple are actually being throttled by Apple. They could have been throttled by Apple too, we just don't know that. So there's really no way to know. But it is nice that if you do have an iPhone 6 or above, you are going to be getting a hefty discount on a replaceable battery from Apple. You can take it to the Apple store or you can send this into Apple and they'll be able to change your battery at a pretty big discount. Also, of course, Apple is really in big trouble for this whole thing. They're actually being sued by a lot of companies out there. Will this actually be the end of Apple? Of course, this won't really be the end of Apple. It's just pretty much going to put a big dent in Apple's company. But they'll still, even if they lose all these lawsuits, they'll still be able to be trucking and they'll still be a big company. Like I said, it's just a shame. I don't know why Apple didn't want to tell the consumers about this whole situation. It would have just been a better situation if Apple would have just came clean and told the consumers why they're throttling phones. And then some companies and some people in general wouldn't have been so mad about this whole situation. It wouldn't have felt so bad. I know why Apple did it, of course. And like I said before in my previous video or about this whole situation, I have experienced this kind of thing not on an iPhone but actually on an Android phone, where after about the 3 to 3.5 year mark, it would actually start randomly shutting down, slowing down, and things like that due to the bad battery. Apple just really wanted to protect your phone, to make sure the circuitry of your phone was still in good condition, make sure the battery can actually still last as long as possible, trying to supply power to trying to handle all the processing that the processor can do. And so that's why they throttle your phone. Of course, I've already went over this, but yeah, I do have kind of an experience with this, so I can see why they did this. Why they didn't tell the public, I don't know why they didn't tell the public. And again, like I said in the previous video, how come we just don't have removable batteries? I mean, yes, you can technically remove these batteries and change them, but to the average consumer, can they actually do this? No, probably not. Do they know how to do this? No, probably not. It would have been nice if you can just remove your battery. I remember there's been a day back in smartphone technology where we used to have removable batteries. Sure, Apple never was really big into removable batteries, and they were never actually going to make a removable battery in their smartphones, but other companies like, for instance, Samsung, LG, just a lot of different Android phones actually had removable batteries. But I know a lot of people back then, when we had removable batteries on Android phones, for instance, were complaining like, why is my phone plasticky and it just feels like crap? Well, I would honestly take a removable battery compared to actually having the battery inside the device where you have to actually disassemble it and all this mess. It would just be easier for us. Then when our phone slowed down or our phone battery got bad, we would just crack the back off, put a new battery in, and good, bam, we're good to go, and it would make this whole process easier. But now it's a little bit more complicated, and it's just overall a big headache if your battery goes bad. Apple has also stated that in newer versions of iOS, they're actually going to be putting a new indicator to tell how your battery health is, so that you'll know when to change your battery. So that's good on Apple to actually warn the consumer. It's kind of like a car. If you have a car and you have a check engine light, it's good to know that there's something wrong with your car instead of like keeping it under the radar. So I do got to give props to Apple that now they're going to start telling consumers in newer versions of iOS their health battery, so they know when to change their battery on their iPhone. Overall, I guess this is good news for Apple, that they did actually want to actually apologize for what they're doing, and they're actually going to be allowing us to get battery replacements at a pretty good discount. They should have just really just gave us the option to choose if we wanted to throttle performance on our phone with a toggle, or maybe just allow us to actually be throttled if you wanted to protect your battery and protect your phone. They should have gave that an option right off the bat too, instead of like hiding this under the radar and actually like now just starting to put more warnings in the newer versions of iOS. Anyway, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.